Hello and welcome back. So far you should have several different elements on the page that you can click. They're going to be invoking a function that's actually taking the data attribute of data message and outputting it into the console when it gets clicked. And we should have that for each one of those elements up and functioning. So the next part of this lesson and this section is where we're going to be setting up an output message. So we can call this message if we want, and passing in a parameter. So this is going to be the output or whatever we want to call it. And next, instead of console log, we're going to send that output text into the function message. So whenever anything gets passed into message, we're going to take the element that has the output, and let's set up a variable for that as well. So we can call this PopUp, and document, selecting the element, the class of output. So selecting that entire element object. We can check to make sure that we've selected it properly when we do or PopUp. It should be actually PopUp. So when we type in PopUp into our console, that we're getting the right element object. So now we can utilize that PopUp and update, removing out a class. So we've got a class list. And what we want to do is remove hide, because remember, hide is the one that's actually hiding it from the visible area. So we want to remove out the class of hide. So try that out. And whenever we click one of these, we see that hide, our pop-up message shows up. And the next thing that we want to do is output into that message area. We want to output that content. So let's set up our, and we can call this one pop-up message document, using the same format. So query selector. Let's select the element with a class of message. And now we can use this object and update the inner text or inner HTML. And because this is just text, we can output it with the contents of output. So now we can try that. We get hello world, JavaScript is fun, wow, cool. So we don't have a way to close the button, so we need to add in one more event listener in order to be able to close the button. So again, selecting our element and using a close button variable, document, query selector. Let's add functionality to the close button, and we can identify it by selecting the element with a class of close. And if this close button gets clicked, so adding in an event listener for that, listening for click, we're going to invoke the function. So this can also be another anonymous function. And all we have to do is the actual opposite, where we're taking our pop-up class list and where we're removing hide, we're going to do the opposite and add hide. So try that out. So click me, close, click me, close, click me, close. So now we've got our core functionality, and coming up next, we'll do a quick overview and a review of our functionality. So go ahead and add all of this interaction into your own application. So now by the end of this lesson, you should have several elements on the page that share a class name and have a data attribute that you can click and have that open up that element to display that element, as well as passing in the data message into the text area of that element. So that should be fully functioning and working, and we're going to move on to the next lesson. We're going to do a code review. So that's coming up next.